So welcome back. This is where we finished at the end of video 3 with 2 rows of single crochet. I'll just get it a little bit closer to the camera, see if it'll focus. There we are. So we've got our 2 rows of 10 stitches. So this bottom row is the back of the stitches and this top row is the front of the single crochet stitch. So that's where we finished. We've got 10 in each row. So for this video we're going to stitch on top of these ones, on top of this last row of single crochet, and we're going to learn what's called a half double crochet. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to turn this work. Okay, so that's where we finished because we always work from right to left. So I've finished at the left edge here. So I'm going to turn my work around. There we are. And then for a half double, it's about the equivalent height of 2 chains high. So it's higher than these stitches. I'll just get my ruler. I can get that out. So if you look at these singles in this particular yarn with this particular hook, 2 rows of them is about, at the moment, 1.5 centimetres. So our half double is going to be higher still. So each sets of these stitches are going to get taller and taller. So let's start at this edge here. I'll just try and get my camera to focus on the appropriate spot. There we go. So we're going to do 2 chains at the beginning of this row, 1 and 2. So that's our yarn over, pull through, 2 chains. So in the previous row with our singles, that first chain did not equal a stitch. When we go to a half double, then these 2 chains count as a stitch. So you can see this is the first single crochet here, the top of it there. So we're not going to work into this stitch here. We're going to skip that one because these 2 chains are going to equal our first half double crochet stitch. So I'm going to work into the second stitch from the hook. So I'm going to do yarn over first before we go through the gap. So underneath that V, just try and turn my yarn so you can see. So I've got 2 loops on my hook before I go through the stitch. The loop that was on my hook from the chains, then I did a yarn over and I'm going through. I'm going to yarn over and pull that through to the correct side of my work. I now have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to do another yarn over. So I've got 4 altogether. I'm going to pull this last one through all 3 loops. Sometimes that first one's a little bit tricky with it being a chain. I can see that's just gone a bit wonky there. There we go. So that's what our half double looks like. You can see the 3 loops, if you look carefully, that have all been joined together for that one stitch. 1, 2 and 3. So let's do that again. Let me just give myself a little bit more yarn. So I'm holding it. I've got this tension yarn, remember here, and I'm holding my work just at the base of where we're going to put this next stitch. So you can see that V, row of V's along the top of our single crochet that we've done before. So I'm going to do yarn over. I'm going to go through the top of that stitch, through both loops on the top. Yarn over again, pull it through. So I've got 3 loops now on my hook, yarn over for the 4th time and then pull that through all of those 3 loops. Again, you can see 1, 2 and 3 loops of yarn there gathered together to make that one stitch. So we'll do that again, nice and slow, yarn over. So we've got 2 loops on our hook, through the top of our stitch, yarn over again, pull that through. then yarn over one more time and through all 3 loops. So at the moment I have 3 half doubles. There, 1, 2, 3, and at the beginning of my row I have 2 chains, and that counts for this first stitch here. Okay, so I'm going to carry on down the end of the row. So we're going to count those chains as our first stitch, so then there should be 9 half double crochets in this row. So yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Let's do that again. Just yarn over, pull 3, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, through all 3 loops. Sorry, I'm turning my crochet sideways. It's just I'm working around the tripod in a different way. So yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over. Always make sure we've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and then we pull through all 3. Let's keep that going all the way down. There we go, and then we've got one last one here. Again, this is the end of our single crochet row. That's the chain there hanging off the edge that we don't count or stitch into because that was in the single crochet row. So we're going to go yarn over, through this last stitch, yarn over, pull it through. Again, we've got 3 loops there on the hook, and then through we go. This yarn's splitting a little bit. Okay, so that's the first row. So let's count. We've got 10 stitches, so we've got these 2 chains, so that counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fantastic. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn our work. Make sure you bring the yarn around the back of your work so that the yarn's behind the work over there. So again, we'll do 2 chains. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's our 2 chains. That is the stitch that's going to sit above this half double here. You can see really clearly on this stitch now where that hole is, where you're going to stitch through underneath those V's on the top of the stitch, because there's a nice little hole there. Alright, so let's carry on down this row. So yarn over, again we're going to skip that first stitch there, which is the first V there, so we're going to skip that one. So the first stitch goes into this stitch here, top of the stitch. So yarn over, pull through, and through all 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, through the top of our stitch. And just keep going down the row. If you need to pause at any point or rewind the video, then do that. Alright, so let's keep going. Yarn over, through the top of our stitch, yarn over, pull through 3 loops. You can see that's not right because it's not the full. Let me just go back and do that stitch. You can see there sometimes the yarn splits because this has actually got 3 threads that make up this yarn, so just be aware of that. It's catching me out because I'm trying to crochet and watch through the screen rather than actually the fabric. So yarn over, got my 3 loops, yarn over, pull it through. So anytime you need to undo it, just carefully take your hook out of your work and pull the yarn and it will come undone. Just do it slowly if you need to go back. Yarn over, through the stitch, pull it through, yarn over, and then through all 3. Yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, pull it back through all 3 loops. Ooh, this one's being a bit fiddly today. So even experienced crocheters have good days and bad days. Let's try that again. I just need to get my glasses. And through all 3. Now we come to the chain, the 2 chain that was at the beginning of that previous row, you can see there. So you can work into that gap. It's generally preferable to work under 2 loops of a chain when we're at the end of our row. So I'm going to do yarn over, I'm going to go through that. So that's the first chain and that's the second. So you want to go through the top of the second chain, through there. Yarn over, pull it back through. Remember 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and there we are. So let's just count that again. The edge of the row is going to look potentially a little bit messy, the edge of your work, that's okay. This is only a really small swatch. So normally you'd have a bigger area and you'd probably finish the edges of your work with another stitch. So don't panic where you can see your chains up the side of your work there. That's okay in crochet. So let's hold it a bit better for the camera so you can see at both ends of that row. So we're going to count this row. So we're going to count this 2 chain here as 1 stitch. And we've got that's 1 stitch, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So we've still got 10 stitches in our little square, a little swatch. So that's all we're going to do for this video, and the next video we're going to come back and we'll do a full double stitch again. So we've got 2 rows of single, you can see there with that nice little V, and then we've got 2 rows of half double. You can see the height there if I use my ruler. So those 2 rows together, it's about 2 centimetres, whereas these 2 rows was only 1 to 1.5 centimetres. Alright, so we're building up the height of our stitches. So come on back to the next video and we'll do double crochet. Alright, see you there.